Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Hasmeyer of Hasmeyer Health. I understand your frustration because there's people come to my practice after seeing 3, 4, 5 physicians, been to many types of specialists, and these specialists have given them various diagnoses, and the individual is still struggling to understand why are they having these health problems and symptoms, but not really getting answers and solutions on how to solve that. I believe one of the most important questions that I ask a patient is why do they want to get well? The why actually helps the person actually stay focused on the lifestyle changes, the dietary changes they need to make. What's what motivates you, whether to pick up your grandchild, whether to play and watch your grandchild grow up or your child grow up and be active with them because you're physically able to do that. And that's really one thing that I'm passionate about, to actually watch people change. And if you'll notice today, I will not use the word diet because diet means something you go on and you go off. Dietary is a new way of eating, living, and being. The first component of my Creating a Healthier You program is taking a very detailed history and take them all the way back to their birth to where they are now, because all their particular health choices and their lifestyle choices that they've made will determine where they're challenged and what systems in the body are not working properly. So a detailed history gives me a great perspective of why you don't have the health that you would like to have at this point in time. From that very detailed history, we actually look at the person from what we call the 6 pillars of health. So the first one is energy production. So do we produce enough energy in the body? Because if we don't have energy at every single cell, we can't repair the body. The next is brain health and methylation. So that's that aspect. Then diet and digestion, which is a very keystone of all things, because what you eat and can you break the food down. Detoxification, very important. Do we get rid of toxic environment? And the other aspect is stress and inflammation, and lifestyle and environment. Stress is an ongoing issue. It has to be looked at. It's not something you can eliminate. It's something that you improve upon and increase your awareness. So after listening to your story and your history and really understanding what are your health challenges and why you want to get healthy, now we start to look through those filters of those 6 pillars to determine what's going on and what do we need to do to dive deeper. So from that, we look at what specific testing we will do. And we focus on functional testing. Traditional testing from laboratories and from traditional medical perspective is determined, do you have a disease or not? Functional testing is really designed to see, is your digestive system have a low-grade infection? Is there not enough stomach acid? Is the gallbladder not working well? Is something not functioning properly? And to me, that's probably the most important thing, is looking at function, because traditional testing is all about, do you have a disease or do you not? And if you do not fit the label of XYZ disease, you're in limbo land. And that's what most patients that come to me, they're in this undefined classification of, I don't feel good, but I don't know what the problem is. I'd say the challenge that I see with patients coming in after 3 decades of practice is that lots of times they're given nutritional supplements, they're given diets, so they typically go on them and then they go off of them, and they forget stress, they forget sleep, they forget all the other components. And since they forget those other components, the person doesn't get well. So if it was just as simple as giving you the right nutritional supplement or the homeopathic remedy to heal the body, that would be great. But unfortunately, that's not how the body works. These systems, these 6 pillars of health, they all interact with each other. And if those systems are not communicating properly, then we have problems. So one of the challenges also is with diet and digestion is that if we don't realize that we're consuming foods that create inflammation in the body, then we continue to do it. No matter how many anti-inflammatory nutritional supplements or pharmaceutical substances you take, the body cannot deal with that inflammation. So you have to learn what foods help build you up and what foods actually tear you down. And then sometimes we're eating foods, too much of one foods. So like, for example, too many of the wrong kind of carbohydrates or too many of the wrong fats. It's not as simple as all carbohydrates are bad or all fats are bad. So it's more specific than that. So it's about understanding what behaviors and lifestyle habits that you're choosing and what's the impact on, does it build you up or does it break you down? Stress management is very important, understanding what stresses you out. And you really have to, when you understand stress, it's not just mental, emotional stress, it's chemical stress. So we've talked about inflammatory foods causing chemical stress, but we also have stress from our blood sugar goes too high, our blood sugar goes too low, and those are all disruptive to our health, creating inflammation and immune problems. The great part about helping a patient through these 6 pillars of health and in creating a Healthier You program is that the individual actually starts to be, first you're educating them on what they should be doing and what they should do less of and more of something else, and what's important to that unique individual, because again, it's highly individualized. So the challenge is when you read a lifestyle book or a diet book on autoimmune or on thyroid or digestive problems, it's a generalization. So everyone is biochemically unique, and we have to address that. So understanding that every one of us is biochemically unique, we have to address that particular health issues for that person, and we have to then instill that particular dietary and lifestyle habits for them. So one man's food can be, could be perfectly been told that this is the superfood, but for that individual, that superfood creates inflammation and acts more, in a negative way. Proper foods, essential quality of foods, the organic and all that is great, but at the same time, it's how do you eat? Do you eat under distress? Do you eat too fast? Are you watching TV? Are you distracted? You're looking at your phone? Stop, give thanks, give gratitude, say a prayer, take deep breathing, because all of those things improve the digestive process. And it's as much as important as what you eat, but in what state of mind and what framework will you actually consume that food. What I really like about working with a patient and taking them through my Creating a Healthier You program is that individual, all this education information, which I actually include a 150-page notebook that helps, is kind of like their textbook for their journey on getting healthier, is that they take this information and they get to share it with the family members, their loved ones, and significant others. Because currently, that's how we're going to change our system in this country. We currently run a sickness care system that is designed to be paid by reimbursement for procedures, but really not looking at the long-term outcome. It's about jumping in when we have a disease, when we're diabetic, instead of when we're pre-diabetic. It would be much better to actually address that much sooner than later. And we should compensate physicians for getting involved earlier and getting the patient involved and getting the patient responsible. Ultimately, the responsibility for your health is you, not the government, not the insurance companies, not the pharmaceutical companies, but you. So it's up to us to take responsibility for our health and well-being. I have one unfair advantage that your typical physician doesn't have in a practice today in an insurance-based practice model, because I have the luxury of spending adequate amounts of time. It doesn't matter that I have over 3 decades of experience, of seeing patients and training to that. But if you only have 10 or 15 minutes per office visit, you really can't get to the underlying root causes of why you have a health challenge. And today, it takes time. There's no way to get around that. So your physician, he or she, is doing the best they can do in the current system, and they're doing what they're trained. So I don't be mad at them. Just respect that they are. The positive and the great news is that with the Institute of Functional Medicine, and when I originally started training with the Institute of Functional Medicine in the year 2000, actually there was maybe 50 people in the room, and recently I retook that training, which has actually been shortened, but it was 500 people. So it's very encouraging to see that. So it's big growth, and it's awesome that we are seeing that. I struggle at times using terminology in my practice because the word patient, the root word from Latin, means to suffer. And I really don't want the people that I work with to suffer. But client means to lean on, and that's okay. And initially, when people work with me in the beginning, they lean on me more. And then as time goes on, I want them to be empowered and motivated on their own, so they actually go and do the work, and they only need me to help them when they hit a bump in the road or something comes up. So that's one of the things that I find is important is the language we use determines what our health becomes. If your current approach to your health problems aren't addressing the root causes, then it's time for a functional medicine approach that investigates the 6 pillars of health. If this seems like the right next step for you, please call or click to schedule a consult for a healthier you.